So I'm Gail Schorsch. I'm the founder and director of Bronx Eats, and the goal of Bronx Eats is to make healthy cooking and eating a community habit through hands-on food education. If you don't mind muting yourselves during the presentation, that'll help Sahar be able to speak. The other thing is that if you go to the top of to the right side of your picture and you pin Sahar, then you will be able to see her on the screen bigger than all the other people. So people find that kind of helpful. You go to the three dots on the right of your picture and you can pin the video, but you want to go to her picture and pin her video. So that is a housekeeping issue. And then I put at the very beginning of the chat a survey. So if you don't mind filling that out, you can do it anytime between now and the end of class. And that's just a really helpful way for me to plan future classes. So I'd really appreciate that. And I'm just so excited to see all of you here tonight. Thank you so much for making time, really for making time for yourself and for your health and to get curious about learning some new recipes. This Bronx Eats community is growing and it's exciting, and now you're kind of part of the family, and I'm really grateful for that. It's really so important that we keep finding ways to keep the community connected and healthy during these difficult times and very isolating times. So we need each other. We have to keep finding ways to come together, and Bronx Eats is one way that we do that. So we're coming together tonight, not only to be together, but also to make that extra effort to keep learning how to fuel our bodies with foods that build immunity and fight diseases. And tonight is an opportunity to connect with Sahar, our presenter, and to let yourself be inspired and to learn something new. I'm sure you will. I always do. Maybe you'll decide to share what you learn with friends and family, or maybe you'll just make it for yourself. Maybe you'll feel more confident in the kitchen and to cook at home. Whatever you decide, go for it. Invest in your health. Bronx Eats classes are here so that you can keep growing and expanding your cooking and your recipe skills and your confidence. So tonight we're so excited and fortunate to have Sahar here to share her cooking expertise with us. She's been with us before, so I'm going to say welcome back, Sahar. And a short introduction. Sahar is in her senior year as a nutrition student at Lehman College. And she's passionate about food, and she likes to show people that cooking healthy food doesn't have to be boring. We're so pleased to welcome her here tonight to demonstrate some delicious and traditional Pakistani dishes that will help you not only reach your fitness goals, but also leave you licking your fingers. Thank you, Sahar, for sharing your talents with us, and take it away.
Thank you. So today we are going to make butter chicken, but it's a vegan version using tofu. And then what I have planned for you guys is roti infused with ajwain, just to kind of supplement the flavors from the tofu butter chicken. And lastly, I have a plum chutney already cooking for you. So we're kind of pressed for time. That's why I kind of started. Hold on.
We're not pressed. We're good. We're good. No, we don't need to rush. We're good. You show us everything so we know how to do it at home. Sahar, we lost you. Sahar? Sahar, are you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You're just keeping us on our toes.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Sorry. Set up a little so you guys can see everything. That's good. Sorry.
That's okay. So we see your cutting board and we see your stove. That's great.
Okay, so we're gonna get started by first frying the tofu. Well, we're not really frying it. What we're doing is kind of browning it.
So can you tell us what you're doing? What did you just do?
It's not deep frying. I just put some oil in a frying pan, and we're gonna kind of, I don't want to say saute, but just browning the tofu a little. We're gonna coat it to make it extra crispy.
So you took tofu out of the package, and what did you do to it?
I had to dehydrate it. Tofu is like a sponge. It soaks up so much moisture. It's, if you can tell, it's still a little moist, but I literally had to take it out the night before so it would be dry.
So if you wanted to make this recipe and you didn't let it dry out overnight, would
Then
it still,
it wouldn't be as crispy.
but it would still work?
It would still work, yes, but it wouldn't be as crispy. It wouldn't give you that meaty texture you're looking for, as because since we're using tofu as a meat substitute.
Okay, please put any questions you have in the chat box. And I do have a question, which is, can you tell me and this group, what does that mean to dehydrate your tofu? Maybe people don't know how to do that.
Basically rid it of extra moisture.
Yeah, so
So
how do you do that?
So a technique that I like to use is basically straining it with a cheesecloth, but it's a lot of labor. You can either
What's
do
the
it that way.
easiest way to dehydrate it? What did you do
So the
with that?
easiest way would be just to squeeze it and then keep it overnight.
So you take it out of the package, you're squeezing it
it-
what, with paper towel or with
So you're taking it, yeah. So you're taking it out of the package, and you're draining it firstly before you even completely open the package. Then you take it out and you put it between a paper towel and you squeeze it. And a lot of moisture will come out that way to the point where you're going to need another paper towel.
So you basically try and get it as dry as possible, and then you're putting it in your fridge overnight?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did with this one.
Okay, so you dry out your tofu as much as possible with paper towel, you put it in some kind of container, and you put it in your fridge overnight, and then when you take it out, it's dried out a little bit. And
Yes.
now, right now, you're putting it in flour?
Yeah, just lightly dusting it with flour. Very lightly, because we don't want to add the extra calories. We want to keep it healthy still, but we just need that little crisp, you know?
Okay, somebody is saying that they put weight on top of the tofu overnight to get it to dry better. Is that something you're familiar with?
That's a really good idea as well, but I feel that it doesn't retain its shape when you do that, when you put too much pressure on it.
Okay.
And for this dish, I did it to retain. Also, another point is that this is extra firm tofu. So you don't really want to use anything other than firm tofu, firm or extra firm tofu for a dish like this. So we're going to put it in the oil. Actually, let me change where the pots are. I don't know if you guys caught a glimpse of this earlier, but this is just prunes boiling for the chutney.
Sorry, what is in there?
It's basically it's like prunes.
So you bought it fresh or you bought it already packaged?
It's sun-dried plums.
Sun-dried plums. So where do you buy that?
This is actually made. This is actually homemade from my grandma's tree.
Whoa, and are we all invited to your grandma's tree?
Yeah, and they dried it in the sun.
Awesome. So where would somebody who doesn't have a grandma like you have buy dried prunes?
You just buy like regular prunes and do the same thing. The results will be the same.
So you're buying fresh or you're buying it dried out already?
Yeah, exactly. So plums were actually out of season. Couldn't find them anywhere. So I decided to go with a dried out version. Now we're just adding the tofu, the floured tofu chunks to the oil.
Sahar, is there any way for us to see what your pan looks like?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just think it would be helpful.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's great. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Christine. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy to see you all. Question came in, how long do you boil the dried prunes for?
Until you get a thick, like when I started boiling these, the water was almost half the half the pot. So now I'm gonna turn this off maybe in the next few minutes. So you want to cook them down until the liquid is concentrated. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't even see it. Yeah, so you want to cook it down until the liquid is concentrated.
So finding fresh plums right now is difficult, and somebody's saying they had to go to 3 stores. So this recipe may be something that's easier to make in the summertime, right?
Yeah, definitely. The plum chutney, definitely. Or to be honest with you, you can substitute the plums with another fruit.
What do you have in mind, pears or something else?
To be honest, I was gonna use pineapple, but the only difference would be I would add some black seed to it, just to bring out like that tartness. Because for a chutney, you don't want it to be too sweet. You want it to be more tart and spicy rather than on the sweeter side.
So if you are going to substitute a different kind of fruit that's available in the winter, you could use pineapple or anything else?
Yeah, you can pretty much use anything else. What do you have in mind?
Well, I've made compote, any kind of, it's different than what you're making, a chutney, so it's a little bit different. I'm going to rely on you for suggestions.
Yeah, pineapple is a good one. Oh, like canned peaches, you can even substitute that. Um, if you're feeling especially brave, you can even blend up the fruit cocktail, the canned fruit cocktail that has like all different types. I think they have apples in them, and they have apples and peaches and pears. That's another good one as well.
Okay.
Now I'm just letting the tofu cook while I coat the remaining tofu in flour.
So Sahar, would you say that the chutney that you're making is kind of like a compote, except it's spiced? It's kind of a spiced up, savory version of compote. Is that?
Yeah, basically like a compote, a jam. Basically, it's going to be a little thinner than those and spicy. I think that's the only difference.
Yep.
So if you're making things like that, like jams and stuff, you can just, use your own recipe and just add the spices. I'm going to go in with a bit more flour.
Sahar, there's a question about whether dried prunes, since they're easier to find, can you use those to make this chutney?
Absolutely. All you have to do is boil them. And then if you want, you can even blend it up because they're still going to be a little chunky. So then you can just blend it up with the spices.
So this is your second batch of the tofu that you cut up and you're
Yeah,
putting flour on it? Okay.
yeah.
So you
And
do
the
it
one
in
that,
batches. It looks like you do the first batch and then you're going to do the next batch when that's ready, when that's cooked?
yeah.
And how do you know when it's ready?
Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry, you were asking how do I know when it's cooked?
Yeah, how do you know? It looks like you're turning them so they're a little bit browned.
Yeah, exactly. So when they're browned on both sides, that's when you know they're ready.
And you didn't add any spices to them. It was just tofu that's been dried overnight and it's coated in flour and it goes right onto an oiled pan. You didn't put salt or pepper or any other
No, I didn't add any spices yet.
yet.
So stay tuned for the spices because this dish definitely requires a heavy hand in spices.
So the suggestion to use dried apricots is also being.
Oh yeah, that just sounds so delicious. Dried apricots. You can even just like you can even do like a different type of chutney, which is with mint and some yogurt. But if you're vegan, I guess you can just substitute the yogurt with vegan yogurt.
And so what are the things that people can eat chutney with? In other words, Thanksgiving's coming up. People might want to make chutney to go with their turkey. Would that be a good idea?
Delicious.
Be delicious.
And you can use it with any meat. You can use it with any type of rice. Chutney is just like salsa, like a Pakistani version of salsa, meaning it's used the same way. So it's that one last piece that's so hard to turn. So while those are cooking, I'm going to start chopping the onions.
Can we watch you do that? Oh, thank you so much.
No problem. Just let me know if I'm too much in the frame and I'm blocking your view. So guys, disclaimer, I'm not a professional. So don't expect pretty chopping from me.
We're very forgiving around here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sahar, you're going to graduate at the end of this year, and then people have asked me if you're going to open a restaurant. Every time you come to present, people want to know when your restaurant is opening.
I mean, right now we only do like catering for events. Yeah.
Okay. How can people reach you if they want? They want to cater. Hire you.
Now you have a few different options. So either through my email, my Instagram, which I'll link below, like in the comment section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's also on the flyer that people got. So if you're interested in having Sahar cook for you, not that we're doing a lot of gathering, but if you want to have a small birthday party or you want her to make dinner for you or something like that, it sounds like you do catering these days.
Yeah, especially if you're tired one day and you don't feel like cooking, I can help you out with that.
Good to know. Good to know. And are you available to cook for people for Thanksgiving?
For Thanksgiving, sure. But I would just suggest get your orders in early. So now we're gonna add oil to the second pot. So I just ballparked it, but it's around 1/4 of a cup. Well, no, a little more than 1/4. It's about 1/3.
Sahar, somebody's concerned that you turned the burner off on the tofu. Is that possible?
No, it's on low.
It's on low. Okay. We just can't see it. So that's probably what it's confusing.
Oh.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. So there's a 1/3 of a cup, you said, of oil in the other new pan that you're starting and that you're going to put the onions into?
Yes, exactly. So 1/3 of a cup of oil. I used, my favorite one to use is botticelli, the olive oil. And then this is around this is also like one half of a large onion. So if you're using a medium onion, you might want to take like 1.5. I tend to buy the huge onions. I feel like it's less work.
The tofu looks amazing.
Oh, thank you. Let's see if it's ready. No, let's give it a few more minutes. The other side isn't quite as brown and crispy as I want it. Also for the chutney, I'm going to show you guys a shortcut. So instead of like going through the trouble of spicing everything and cooking it for a long time, what you can do is just boil the dried fruit and add your favorite hot sauce. Tonight, I'm adding in this hot sauce. It's called Cholula, and it is absolutely delicious. As you can tell, I really love this.
There's also Bronx hot sauce. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but I used to grow some of the peppers for Bronx hot sauce. So I just have to mention that that's also out there in the Bronx if you're looking for another good hot sauce.
Oh, wow, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, and it's all local peppers that are in there. So if you see it, buy it.
I bet it is so fragrant.
And people, if you do have questions, you can unmute or you can put it in the chat box, whatever you're more comfortable with. Sahar is here to answer any questions.
So now it's a little more brown, but I'm still gonna give it a little bit more time. I like my tofu extra crispy. Would more meat like. Not that I miss eating meat, but just for this dish, I feel like it's better if it's a little more textured and chunkier.
So Sahar,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So there's a question about how many pieces of the tofu are one serving. How much tofu do you need to cook for a dish, and how much would you give to each person as a serving?
Let me just show you the pack that I use. So this is the kind that I use, and it's 6 servings per container.
So what do you have in the pan there? How many servings would that be?
Over here, I use the entire box, like I use the entire one of these.
But what we're looking at now is only about half of that, right? Because you have others that you're going to cook.
Exactly. So in my plate, I would maybe only take 4 to 5 pieces. So that's around the 1/6.
Okay, so that what you have in the pan there would serve what, about 3 people?
Around, yes. Yeah, easily. 3 and then some. 3 foodies like me. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take out the tofu and put in the second batch.
And Sahar, the onions that you put in are just cooking on their own while you put in the second batch here?
Yes, I'm just stirring occasionally.
And can you tell us why you bought sprouted tofu as opposed to regular tofu? Is there something?
To be honest with you, I didn't really like that was not a concern of mine. I just found this pack and it was, you know, I eat tofu a lot and it was a big pack from Costco, so I said why not? And it's organic and it's firm, so that's why I got this one.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who think sprouted anything is very, very healthy. A lot of people are looking for, you know, sprouted nut butter and sprouted tofu, and all of these new packages say sprouted on them, because I think when you sprout foods, it actually brings out the nutritional value in them.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of these things are just like marketing techniques as well. For example, when packaging says natural on top of it, like, you know,
For
the
sure.
things like that.
Yep. So as I'm watching you, I'm realizing if anybody has kids, this seems like a really nice activity to get your kids involved with, you know, the putting it in the flour and then, you know, putting it in the pan. I know that a lot of times when kids get involved with cooking, then they're more likely to eat it. So this seems like something they could do and then hopefully enjoy after it's finished.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you're trying to get your kids to eat a little healthier, which I think every parent on the planet is. You know, this is a really good way to introduce them to foods like tofu.
So Saha, the question has come in about what kind of pots are you using? And can you tell us about what you're using and why?
Sure. So once upon a time, this was a non-stick frying pan. And then the pot over here is just a regular stainless steel pot. It's actually from Pakistan.
So can you make this dish in any kind of a frying pan?
Yeah, I would just suggest that it be like wide.
Okay, so you're putting oil in the pan, so even if it's a non-stick pan, it should be fine.
Yeah. But if it's a non-stick pan, just make sure that it's well heated before you add the tofu, because then it tends to stick. I don't know. I always find like regular the the regular silver frying pans a little tricky to work with, because the oil has to be a certain temperature. Otherwise, the food tends to stick for me, and I do not enjoy that. This I feel like is more foolproof.
So you're using a non-stick pan and you're adding oil, and somebody's saying, isn't the whole thing about non-stick pans that you don't have to add oil to them?
You can, I guess, you can make things without adding oil to them, but it's never like truly non-stick, in my opinion, in the foods that I've made. You know, I feel like it always requires at least a spray oil. But then again, once upon a time, this used to be a nonstick frying pan. Okay, so back to the onions. Can you guys see it?
Not really. Can you maybe just lift the pot to the camera, or are you going to bring the camera to the pot? Okay.
This is better. So we just want to get it a little more brown than it is right now before adding the ginger and garlic. So for the ginger and garlic, you can always use fresh, and I'm pretty sure it tastes better, but for the purpose of this demo, I just went with paste.
What
So
did you
that's,
say? You went with what? That looks like dried garlic?
no, it's not dried, it's a paste.
Oh, a paste. Okay. And where did you buy that?
This is from Costco, and this is from my local Asian market.
And the paste is garlic paste?
So the minced one is minced garlic, and then this is ginger paste.
A question came in about whether it's possible to make this without oil.
Without oil? Okay, so here's the thing. Since it's so heavily spiced, which you will see in a few minutes, it's going to be hard. Without some sort of fat, it's going to be very hard to get a smooth texture. Because like when you don't have a fat to cook the spices in, they tend to stay grainy. And it's very uncomfortable. It's almost like they're raw.
So if you did this in water, or you did this with, I guess, coconut oil is still oil, but can you substitute a different kind of oil, or?
Absolutely. You can substitute a different kind of oil. Traditionally, this dish is made in butter.
Butter.
So with butter, it's made with heavy cream. So
and there are also vegan alternatives to oil that might interest. Crystal was asking that question. So, right, it sounds like there are things that you can put in that are not oil that would still keep the spices okay.
If you want, you can use a vegan butter for it. You can use like avocado oil, any different type of oil you can do. That doesn't compromise the taste or the flavor, but you definitely need some sort of fat to cook down those spices. Just gonna go in with a little bit of water. Again, the burner is on low. We're just gonna cook the ginger and garlic down a little before adding our.
So Sahar, can you repeat what you said about how the fat of the oil is what's holding the spices together?
Basically, it's the fat that cooks the spices. Otherwise, they will be a very grainy texture. And eating it, you can feel it be grainy. Now I'm just flipping the tofu.
We want to see.
Sure. Is that a good angle?
Yeah, that's great. We can see both now. That's great. So Sahar, if you can't get to Costco and you can buy fresh ginger or powdered garlic, would those things substitute okay for this dish?
The ginger, yes, but the garlic is always better for dishes like this to have fresh. It would taste like you could taste the difference because there's such a combination of spices that they kind of, the way they melt together, it would overlap the garlic flavor. So in order to have the garlic flavor, you would want to go with fresh garlic for this dish. And guys, when you make it, just use tongs, which is what I should have done.
If you have them.
Yeah, if you have them, instead of playing with this thing all day.
Or a fork, no?
Yeah, a fork as well. Okay, so now we're gonna add our spices and a little bit of water. So for you, I have, okay, can you see them? This is Kashmiri chili powder, which is super spicy. So I'm only gonna go in with one teaspoon underneath. Sorry, the turmeric kind of covered the salt. I'm going in with one
You have to
teaspoon.
put it lower because we can't see.
Oh, sorry. I'm going in with 1 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. I have 1 teaspoon of turmeric. I have coriander powder right here. And then over here, the darker one is garam masala. Garam masala, I went a little, I put in a tablespoon, a full tablespoon and a half. Coriander powder, I went in with a teaspoon. And I also went in with a teaspoon of cinnamon. So all very warm, very fall.
Wow, so nourishing and delicious. It's amazing. Somebody was saying they think they can smell it.
So can my neighbors.
Well, they're lucky.
Aw. Thank you.
If anybody has to leave early or I'm just reminding you, please remember to fill out the survey. It's at the very top of the chat, and I would love to have your comments and your thoughts.
I'm gonna cook the spices down. Now the burner is on high.
The burner's
Sorry?
not on? You turned it off?
No, the burner is on high now.
It was on high now, okay.
Also, I'm turning the burner for the chutney off. And let's see the progress that we made with the tofu. Yeah, we still need to cook this for a while longer.
So at the very top, it says Survey Lehman Series, and then under that, there's a hyperlink that has a bunch of letters and says Forms. If you click on that, you should be able to find the survey.
I'm also going to go ahead and put a teaspoon of ajwain in it.
So these are all amazing spices from Pakistan. Where do we find this in regular Bronx living?
You can find it since there's a fairly large South Asian population in the Bronx, you can find it pretty much at any store. The one that I usually go to is by the 4 train. I think it's called Bangla Town. I tend to go there for these spices. I'm just going in with half a cup of water. Letting them cook down a little more. Okay. And our tofu is light, but it's ready.
Awesome. Can we see that again?
It's lighter than the first batch,
Okay.
but it's ready.
Amazing.
Enough.
So we got a suggestion that Webster and 204th Street has a halal store that, or many halal stores that carry a lot of these spices or all of these spices. Thank you to Sarah for that information.
Oh, that is
And
awesome.
she is cooking along and she says her house smells amazing right now.
Oh, glad to hear it. And I would love to see your dish when you're done.
Yeah, please at the end, you've got to show us your video and show us what you got. Love that.
Okay, so while that's cooking, I'm gonna get some tomato paste.
Sahar,
Still here.
can you talk a little bit about the nutritional value of the spices that you use in Pakistan to make all of these delicious dishes?
Sure. My favorite one is turmeric, which is a natural antibiotic. You can even make teas with it if you're feeling unwell. Or even if you are feeling like if you're fine, you just to for preventative reasons. You can make tea, you can put it in regular like your daily cooking.
Yeah, it's a big anti-cancer herb also, right?
Inflammatory antibiotic. Ajwain is great for bloating. You can make a tea of that as well. It's good for the for digestion.
So while this is cooking, is it reducing? Is that what you're doing? It's sort of, it looks like it's on like a low boil.
Yeah, it is reducing. I'm waiting for it to thicken before adding the tomato paste.
And why do you do that? Keep it kind of reducing and on a low boil? Does that thicken it up or?
Exactly, because we never want to have like a watery curry, even though we want it to be more of a paste. So excuse my super loud can opener. Actually, I'm going to go in with the tofu first so it can absorb all the spices.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness, I'm getting hungry.
Aw. Well, you're welcome to have some. We're going to let that cook. And making sure that it doesn't get too dry where it, you know, kind of burns the pan.
So right now you still have it on a low flame?
I do.
Okay.
So now that it's pretty much dried out, we're going to go in with our tomato paste. And that is about half a cup.
Wow, beautiful.
Thank you. Now I'm going to add half a cup of water and cover it so that the tofu can absorb all the flavors.
Is our chutney still okay?
Yeah, I turned the burner off for that. So now we're gonna finish up the chutney and then we're gonna get started on the roti. I was pretty ambitious for this demo.
Sahar, I'm not sure we have time for the roti.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, I would love to, but I don't know. I think that'll put us quite a bit over.
Okay.
But we can put it on the agenda for next class.
I have some pre-made so you can see what they look like.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Well, you guys do have the recipe for how to make it, but I think if we actually try and make it tonight, we're going to end up going a little too late.
Oh yeah, it's 7:23 already. Yeah,
so you generally combine that with what you just made. You eat the roti, that bread, flatbread, with what you just made.
Exactly. So with any type of curry, any dal, roti goes. Roti is basically like a substitute to rice. Like we either eat rice or we eat roti. You know what I mean? With curry.
Yeah, it looks absolutely delicious. Oh,
thank you. So we're just gonna keep it on for a little bit longer. I'm gonna uncover it so that it cooks faster. It reduces faster. And I'm gonna get started on opening up the coconut milk. This coconut milk is full fat and absolutely delicious. Like it's so like I can't help myself.
Where do you get that?
I got this from ShopRite.
Okay.
And it's their own organic brand, Wholesome Pantry.
Yep. I'm putting it in the chat box.
And I got the unsweetened one because this is, again, a savory dish. So it's almost ready for the coconut milk. You just want to cook it down a little more because as you can see, it's still like, you can, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's still a little separated. Like the oil from the tomato paste. So you want it to be like one. Okay. I'm gonna go in now with the tomato, oh, not the tomato paste, excuse me, with the coconut milk. Stirring occasionally. I don't want to put it all in one shot because then it'll be like more difficult to mix because it is so thick. So you want to add it little by little.
So it looks like it becomes very soupy. You could put this on rice too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The best though would be like a buttered naan to eat this with. You want it to be this color. Usually on the recipe, I know I wrote the full can, but this I guess is thicker than the one that I used previously. You want it to be this color. You don't want it to be darker or lighter. Well, you can have it lighter, but it's going to take away from the spice. Like it's going to give you more of that creamy flavor. So that can be a matter of preference as well.
Right, to tone down the spices, you mean?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke
If
up.
you have more coconut milk, then it kind of tones down the spices that you put in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gives it more, it tastes more creamy as opposed to spicy. It's still like savory at the end, but so on the cutting board here, I'm just chopping up some peppers.
Can we see that?
Absolutely. Oh, I made a big mess. Okay.
Oh, hot pepper.
Yeah. This is for the topping. And this is fenugreek, also known as maypea. This
So
is
this
for,
also is purchased at one of the halal stores when you get all the other spices?
yes, exactly. So if you've ever had butter chicken at a restaurant and it has that distinct flavor, it has that distinct smell, like fragrance to it. And that's where the fragrance is coming from. That's their magic ingredient.
What, the fenugreek?
Yeah.
And you're putting that in at the end. It sounds like it doesn't really need to cook for very long.
Yeah, I wouldn't cook it because then it gives off a bitter flavor. We don't want that.
So for people who don't like things super spicy, can they skip the pepper or should they do just less than what you're planning to put in there?
Sure. This isn't really that, well, I can't say it's not that spicy because maybe it's just my taste buds are dead from eating spicy food all my life. So I can't really say that. But if you don't like it, I just use this not only for the spice, because I feel like the curry is spiced like enough, but I just use this for the extra fragrance and just to bring a little freshness to the dish because it is super heavy. So you can, instead of like these peppers, you can also include like cilantro to give it that freshness. One of those preference things.
And so I'm noticing that you're not taking the seeds out of the pepper. Is that to give it extra spice or is that just for time?
No, well, it's for both. I never take the seeds out because that's what makes it spicy.
Okay, interesting.
So now I'm just giving the curry a stir.
If there are any last minute questions, please don't be shy. I think we're
And
finished
here's
here. Look at that. Beautiful.
just gonna sprinkle some fenugreek on it. And I really wish you guys could smell this. It smells so good.
It looks amazing.
Thank you. And then do we have time for the chutney real quick?
How long is that going to take to finish up?
Maybe like 5 seconds. I'm gonna give you a super short and quick version of it.
Okay. We don't want to leave it there unfinished.
I'm so sorry. I would have prepared more of the, like, when you're cooking by yourself, you're not really timing yourself the same way as you would when you're on Zoom.
Yeah, so there was a question saying, what can you compare chutney to? Like what's a different dish that is similar to chutney?
Salsa.
Salsa, right. You mentioned that earlier. The chutney is sort of like the Middle Eastern Pakistani version of salsa.
Basically. and we use it in the same way as salsa is used.
So wait, let's slow down. You took the liquid from the plums, right? And now
Yes.
you're putting in hot sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have something sweet, which is the plums added to something quite spicy. And so you're going to get what, like a sweet and sour taste?
It's going to be sweet and it's going to be sour, but it's not going to be too much of either one of those flavors. It's going to be like they're going to meet right in the middle.
And what are you going to put that on?
And so I would normally have it with, let me just plate it for you. I would normally eat it like this with the roti. So you use it basically, you would take the roti, take a bite of the curry, either dip it in the chutney or put some chutney on top of the bite and take a bite.
Delicious. Delicious. Sahar, thank you so much. It really all looks delicious. And what do you do with the whole plums that are still left in your pot?
So if we had the time, I would blend them. And I would blend this, and the final a lot more thicker than this is. And I would also add cilantro and some peppers with it.
Okay, so it would go into the chutney so that the chutney wouldn't be just liquid. It would have some of the plums.
Exactly. It would be more of a paste, and it would be a little thicker than a liquid than how it is right now.
Right. Got it. Well, thank you so much, Sahar. This was beautiful.
Thank you so much for everyone who joined tonight. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys attempt it and see that, butter tofu, it's not so intimidating.
Exactly. And the idea of cooking from scratch at home, we know that that's always healthier than eating out, right? Because we always use fewer processed ingredients and sweeteners and salt and fat and oil that are used in fast food restaurants and prepackaged meals. And that's especially important for those of us who are seeking to prevent chronic disease or overcome chronic disease like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and cancer. So remember, your diet and the food you choose to eat are a key part of your health, and literally can reverse disease.
And when you cook at home, you know what's going in it. You know how much of it is going in it. You know if something is time temperature abused.
Right. And there are some great documentary movies that if people want to watch, one of them is called What the Health. It's really, really beautiful, about eating a healthy diet. There are other resources on the Bronx Eats website under the category Food for Thought. And you can find other movies and other articles and other things about how to get your diet, going in a better direction. So Bronx Eats is a safe place to meet and connect with each other around food and cooking. It's a shared community gathering place. And when we all come together for events like this, we send a message to ourselves and to others that our health really matters to us and that we want to enjoy our time together in community and that we're going to take care of ourselves on a personal level and on a community level. Just to finish up, we know that food is the best medicine and we all need to fight this virus and other stressors by eating nourishing real food. Bronx Eats is here to help you reach that goal. Happy cooking, stay well, and we'll see you tomorrow night. If anyone wants to stick around for a few minutes afterwards, we're going to say goodbye formally now to share thoughts and ideas about food, about Corona, or anything else. I'm here for another few minutes and I'd be happy to just say hello and talk. So thank you again for coming. We're really very happy that you've joined our community and hope you'll come back. Definitely, we'll be here tomorrow night. We would love to see you again.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing. That stop wasting your money on outside food too. That's a big thing.
And please fill out the survey. I did put it in again, so you should be able to find it. I would really appreciate that. I'll put it in again, just so you have it. I would really be grateful if you could fill that out. So bye. If you want to stay for another minute or so, please do. And really, thank you again for coming.